This is what I mean. No, no, no. No, no, no. You do not do that. Okay, don't do it. Okay, please, 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 please. I love you so much. So don't do this. Welcome back. So I want to let you know, if you want me to take a look at your writing on a general level, maybe like a brief, make a video on it on this channel, and you want me to really test you and see your writing and the quality of it, again, in a general level, you can send me an email and a sample of your writing. That's totally free. If you would also like me to edit your story, professional developmental editing, you can hire me and I will do it. And you can check the channel trailer to see how that works. Here's the thing, most writers actually don't know how to take critique. And I've seen this many different times, and I'm not gonna lie to you, even I am not immune to it. I think like 2-3 years ago, I was completely in that phase where I used to think that my writing was just the best, and that I was the best, and that I was at the top. And I have had to learn the hard way that honestly, my writing is crap. It's mid. It needs improvement, it needs work, it needs years and years and years of dedication. And I think this was one of the best things I've had to learn, but I did learn it the hard way. And I tell you this, most writers don't know how to take critique. They don't know how to take criticism. They do not take it to heart. They always argue with it, they always detract from it, and they always try to maintain the ego. You can't write a good book with ego, my nigga. You have to absorb the critique. And I'll show you a writer that actually does that today. Anyhow, today we are going to be talking about Contessa Dark, okay? The Dark Lordess, I don't know. The Dark Lord, I don't know. The Contessa Dark is, well, her name is Jennifer, you know? Jennifer, so cute. Contessa Dark. It's totally different things. Anyways, so she sent me a piece of writing a few weeks ago, yeah, and this was the piece of writing. As you can see, I think we made a video on this. The grey wood shuddered, blowing puffs of dust that stuck to her sweat-coated brow. Her body jumped, jarred by the impact. Harika dug her sandals against the stone floor. Okay. So, oh yeah, Jennifer Davis, yeah. I know she's got a cute name, but Contessa Dark, it's totally different. Anyways, so as you can see in this story right here, on a fundamental level, we critiqued this story and we had 2 critiques for it, and that it was fundamentally the diversity was really good because that's what she wanted me to take a look at. It was good. Okay, the thinking of the characters and the aesthetics and all of that was really unique, and there was all these different cultures that were demonstrated in this sample, yeah? And also the prose was something else we talked about. Well, she sent me another email. I think it was this guy, this email, okay? Now, I can't show you this email, yes, because it's wait. Because there's quite a lot of personal stuff on it. But she hired me to developmentally edit this. It's a little over 10,000 words, and I have. And as you can see, I have really gone haywire in this context. You know, this is just the beginning here. As you can see, you know, this is comments, and these comments go on and on and on. This is 10,000 word, and my critique is 3,000 words, okay? And she sent me another email recently, yes. Hey, I can show you this email, okay? I can totally show you this email. There's nothing personal here. Hi, Sammy. I hope things have been going well and they haven't worked you too hard in that internship. Yeah, it's going great, yes. And yeah, they haven't worked me too hard. I just thought I would share the chapter your edit inspired me to write. So the edit inspired her to make changes, and this is where the edit is specifically located. I think it's chapter 3. It's about a transition. There was a huge leap in the story, because I'll give you a bit of a backstory, right? I will simplify it, okay? So there are 3 characters. 2 of them fight each other, and one of them is trying to get them to calm down. Yes, the guy that's trying to get them to calm down is Ihut, and Ihut is really calm, level-headed, very good guy, and he closes the gap around the conflict with Sumai. If you read here, one of those guys, Sumai, he is the one that instigates the conflict. He's the one that starts the problem. And Sumai effectively does get caught. Okay, he gets caught. And how does he get caught? We don't see that. We jump to him having been caught, and that's really it. And it's quite an important, continuity issue early on, because I don't think you want to make jumps, specifically significant jumps, early on, right? So we transition to the story here, and this is where the edit comes from, developmental. This transition here was perhaps the most jarring. The only 2 conflicts we have seen so far was the capture of Harika and the fight between Sumai and Imyan. And suddenly, in chapter 3, we see a significant transition where Sumai, has been captured and will be executed. I think an important detail like this shouldn't happen off the pages, given that the audience might feel as if the whole struggle between Sumai and Imyan was useless. And that conflict actually happens very early on in chapter 2, I think. Oh, sorry, chapter 1, right here. You see these 2 characters arguing. Prince, Sumai spat into the empty depth of the tower. You are shadow blood. True princes remain to defend their homeland. So do true warriors. And so they start throwing shade like this, some subtext initially, but then eventually they just start, almost punching each other. Yes. And so, no hope at all then. Sumai jerked Imyan's arm. So they start, jerked Imyan's arm. They start attacking each other. And so this character really ruins a lot, okay? Or at least he results in the characters losing an important, treasure, which is what they came for, yeah? And he gets caught. And this is where he gets caught. Chapter 3, we read here, Sumai's been subdued. Did he run? The shake of Ihut's head was answer enough. How many did he kill? 2 only. The choke pulls work as well on men as they do those accursed lizards we've been riding. And so the guy gets caught, and we jarringly transition to that. So in here, she edited and she wrote this chapter, yeah? And I like this chapter. I do. It's exciting. There's a lot of conflict on a developmental level. I read this chapter, and it is very good, okay? Blue-white flames consumed the leaping woman, exploding into great lashing wings that seared Ihut's vision. A huge blotchy shape shoved him into the wall as it passed Sumai. He threw his arms up as she dove after a falling Imyan. The hand from which he had removed his glove throbbed as though he had just pulled it from boiling water. This is because these characters, okay, if we go back to the original stuff, yeah, these guys literally, and I mean, this is insane, right? They came to hunt and find and capture and enslave a phoenix, okay? A phoenix. That's what Harika means, the one of flame or something like that, yeah? So Harika is literally a phoenix. I think I remember I saw it somewhere. Beneath the great phoenix, Harika, yeah? Squirming, fleeing, as all things should, beneath the daughter of the sun, beneath the great Phoenix. So fundamentally, that's what they came for. And this is what this is what the flame, the leaping woman, could, blue-white flames, blue-white. Air currents swirled around the thunder crack of those incandescent wings, dancing like veils before being sucked into her plunging inferno. The skin of his mouth instantly turned as taut as a drum head, his lungs empty of breath. Yeah, because it's a scorching hot air. I don't think you can breathe that. Go, he tried to shout to his, waiting men. And so this chapter has a specific critique that has been applied. And I think there is an improvement specifically on the structure of the story and also on the prose of the story. Because instead of jumping or leaping, we get to now have another chapter. Yeah? And in this context, the author Jennifer has been able to fill a very important gap. Another critique that I've had was that, she does not really spend a substantial amount of time, or the necessary or the equivalent amount of time, I think, specifically on what would you call it? Character development, yes? Because there is no emotional attachment to the characters. You can see here, lack of emotional attachment in here is very important. I'm continuing this from the first comment. As you can see, you explain much of the motivation these three men have in this argument. Kudos, because it's very efficient exposition while keeping the heat high. However, it by no means resonates with me on any emotional level. Fixing this will require some pages spent getting the audience invested into Imyan or Harika, even both. And the emotional part of the story, this is chapter 2. Immediately after chapter 1, this becomes chapter 2. And in here, we get to see, this is the future of this character is not really good. Okay, run. So there is more character work done in this chapter. Yes, and the third critique that is really fixed in this chapter was actually the prose itself. Yeah, as you can see, the prose is actually a lot more refined, I would say, on a structural level. In his periphery, he saw worried looks exchange, but he did not chastise them. The other leopards had not seen Sumai push him yet. Ihud had backed them deeper into the hole, away from the tower door, so as not to frighten Harika. And I tell you this, it's a lot harder to read this. Yes, the prose in this can be very dense in a lot of places, but the prose in here felt a little less dense. And so these are the three main critiques that I think Jennifer has implemented. Specifically, she has been able to fill the gap, and she has added quite a lot more of character, emotional development, and specifically to get the audience to care about the conflict, but specifically also to add some much needed character development flat out. Yeah, as you can see in here, it has the emotional reckoning and a fight scene. And the next scene is actually the fight scenes. Yeah, the fight scene here is not the first, but because Harika does jump in to save, the Imyan, but this is early on. However, the fight scene in here is also very well written. Okay, and fight scenes usually go like this. You have a setup. You need to have two characters fighting, specific motivation as to why they're fighting. And that has been established very clearly in chapter 1, the second chunk, part 2. And obviously, from there, you end up having this fight scene. And the second thing in a fight scene is that I think effective, clear choreography of what's going on, or communication of what's going on, would be very good. And the Jennifer does both of that. Yeah. And in that and also escalation. The fight scene starts a lot smaller, but then as time goes on, as the fight continues, the stakes get bigger and you could die. So these are 3 elements, I think, that are very critical for a fight scene, and she executes those very well. As you can see toward the excuse me, as you can see toward the end of the chapter, the characters are having to deal with death, because Sumai literally kills 2 guys. Yeah. So as when the chapter begins, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more tame. There's an escalation happening, and then when the chapter finishes, obviously there has been blood spilled into the sand. Okay, Fata chuckled. We'll be sure to hide our daughters when we hear you coming. With another clank of Ihud's shoulder, he returned to their fire, tossing the skins into waiting hands. Ihud left, making his way to the watchtower and Imyan. So he's going back to Imyan, and of course when he goes back, we meet them again going through exactly, this is where we meet them. The wide hall that led from the watchtowers was empty. So we're back to the watchtower. We start with the watchtower, we go, you know, catch Imyan, and then come back here, and obviously that's what we have. So I like this story. I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I appreciate that Jennifer has been able to take something from this story, from my edit, from you know, the critique that I've given, and honestly I'm very proud of her, and I'm very happy to have been part of this. All right, so anyhow, I hope you took something from this video. If you want me to edit your writing professionally, you can hire me to do that. If you want your you know, a sample of your writing featured in the channel, you can just send me a sample in my Gmail. It's totally free. Anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed this and took something from it. Have a nice day. Bye.